And welcome back. The first reports as to the cost of the much promoted Thrive Montgomery 2050 plan, which would update the county's wedges and corridors master plan that dates back to the 1960s, was revealed this week. The initial cost estimate of $220 million annually for 30 years, or $6.6 billion, even stunned some members of the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee, who normally don't blink an eye over spending taxpayers' money for worthy, quote unquote, projects. Sam, the council rolled out this proposal during the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many, myself included, think it's so very complicated and has so many different layers that it hasn't been properly explained to the public at large. Is it time to reconsider this proposal given the amount of money that it's going to cost county taxpayers?
Casey, the only God-saving part of this is that they don't have to make a decision until December. And I certainly do hope that they publicize this to let the public know what's going on. And to me, the biggest thing to publicize is an unfunded mandate where you don't know what your budget is, you don't know how much money you're spending, you don't know where the funds are coming from. I think that's absolutely terrible and a poor representation.
Well, not only that, I don't think it's adequately explained as to what the changes will be in our zoning. I mean, my goodness, these are massive changes that are being proposed. In addition, there's controversy between different groups as to transportation planning and whether or not there's enough bus service for people. I mean, I think this thing needs to go back to the starting point.
I don't disagree with you, especially when you look at the Up County and you look into the Ag Preserve and, you know, the eastern northern part of the county, the bus service is terrible. We have businesses out there that are hurt by that. I think the whole thing needs to be reconsidered, and I want to see firm figures on everything. Even Park and Planning has admitted that they don't know exactly what the plan's going to be. How do you pass legislation where you don't have the statistics and the facts?
You're going to ask Nancy Pelosi. She's been doing that for the last 4 years. Lori, the Thrive Montgomery 2050 is supposed to establish a framework for responding to economic, demographic, social, and environmental change in the ways that are rooted in enduring lessons about what has made places successful in the past. That's just gobbledygook. That's right. And I took that directly from the opening paragraph of the plan. That's gobbledygook. Does anyone know what this plan is supposed to do?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say Democrats have a history of proposing things that are not funded and not knowing where the money goes. Look at what happened with education, with funding, all that. So
I introduced
for Democrats to propose. But I know people are still struggling with the pandemic, and they are just treading water right now. Can't come up for air because they're working with their own families, trying to make sure they can put food on the table. And, you know, just it's still a big pressure on families, and they just don't have time to think about something like Thrive 250. I know some of them have heard a little bit about it. The Republican Party has been working hard to provide a different narrative, because when you hear from the Democrats, they say, oh, Thrive 350, it creates more transit and housing of all types. And it makes you think, oh, I want that. I would love to have more transit. I would love to have housing of all types that would give more, be more affordable for low income people. Well, that also means that your own home may have next door, the house that's next door might be bulldozed down and a duplex put in its place, or a triplex. That is what it means. It changes single family housing. That is something that every person who's a resident here in Montgomery County should be aware of. I tried to get that out into my individual, into my listserv with my, in my development where I live. And some people thanked me for sending it, but others accused me of being political. So you can't even spread it in your neighborhood because, you know, and I was trying to be very neutral, just trying to say, here's information, this is what it means, and please look at this information. Yet, you know, some people don't want to hear it. So I don't know how to get the message out other than to, you know, it's harder now because, you know, the Republicans have gone to the to the agriculture fair and had a booth, but very few people came to that this year. And there's Poolsville Day and there's different things like that, but it's hard to get the message out. I think we need more time.
It'd be really, really nice if we all focused on the economic development part of it. I think that would be great. And another thing that would be really nice is, and maybe this will happen with our redistricting for county council, that the Republican Party can come up with some decent candidates, moderates, who could run for office, because they certainly don't have them in this county, which is why we don't have any on the council.
Yeah, it's hard when the good candidates who run lose by so much when they put in there have been a few who have put in some time to try to run and nobody hears about them because the Democrat Party is very strong here. You got to give them credit. It's a strong party and it's really hard to run a good campaign as a Republican.
Well, we could certainly have a conversation on running campaigns and good candidates, because I can't remember a good Republican that I would have voted for, going back to Nancy Dasik and others who were great members of the county council, Howie Dennis, and even Connie Morella before she got redistricted out.